Now we're live. Good morning. Coming to you from the west coast of Canada, Vancouver Island. Thrilled to have you join me. I want to talk about something that I find is absolutely debilitating for so many people. So today we're going to talk about how to get over the fear of rejection. Okay, it's a big one. It's real. The fear of rejection is real, and it can absolutely stop you from building your business and building the kind of life that you want to be living. So we're going to dive deep today, okay? So I have a question for you. How many opportunities have you missed out on due to the fear of rejection? Not taking action in your business or in your life because of the potential of being rejected. How many opportunities are you missing out on right now? And how many opportunities have you already missed out on? Now, if you're thinking there's a few, would it be worth getting over your fear of rejection? How would that change your life? If you started taking more action in every single area of your life because you were not worried about being judged by other people. So what exactly is the fear of rejection? I boil it down to this. It's the fear of being judged as a person and then having the self-doubt kick in, right? I'm not enough. And then feeling badly about yourself. Your feelings being hurt. So this is what happens. Nobody wants to have their feelings hurt, right? Like you don't want to question yourself and then, oh my God, I suck. So we self-sabotage ourselves. We avoid putting ourselves in the potential position of feeling bad about ourselves. And here's something you have to know. This is your ego doing its job. Your ego is meant to keep you safe. It's meant to keep you from having hurt feelings. So your ego will often make things seem a lot worse than they really are. Did you know that? That's why you play that little scenario in your head of what could go wrong. That's your ego keeping you safe. There's more going on there. That's also your past coming up, your past baggage. But your ego will make things seem a lot scarier than they really are, so that you don't do the thing, so that you don't, end up having hurt feelings and questioning yourself. So your ego is not always, you've heard this before, right? Your ego is not your amigo. There you go, trying to keep you safe. So what if you stopped looking at it as what could go wrong? What if you start looking at it as what could go right? It's life-changing. So a lot of people don't even really realize that the reason they're not taking action is because it's the fear of rejection. I've heard so many people say that they're lazy. I don't actually really believe in laziness. There's a deeper reason why you don't take action. So think about the person who's, 45 years old, still lives at home with mom or dad or both, in the basement suite kind of thing, and no job. Why is that? Are they just lazy? Or is there something deeper? There's something deeper, I guarantee it. So let's talk about where in your life this is impacting you, the fear of rejection. It could be impacting you in your business because you're not doing the things you need to do, right? The business building and the income producing activities like connecting with people, building relationships, having conversations, doing video, and generally just putting yourself out there. Like that can take some courage. When you put yourself out there, you might be judged, right? So in order to not be judged and not have those feelings, those my hurt feelings, I'm not going to put myself out there. See how that works? So if you're not putting yourself out there in your life, it's the fear of rejection, the fear that you are not enough, right? So where else would it affect you? Dating. Think about it. The one that got away because you didn't have the courage to go and ask them out. The one that got away. Does it affect you in your relationships? Like, even if you're in a relationship, like a long-term relationship with someone, the fear of rejection will stop you from communicating your needs, your desires. You don't say what you want to say because fear of being rejected. This can affect all your relationships. How about meeting new people? Does it stop you from making new connections? What about a job interview? If you're afraid of being rejected, it makes it going into a job interview pretty darn hard, right? So, those are just a few of the areas of your life that can affect you. What about even going to the gym? I don't want to go to the gym and get healthy because now everyone's going to judge my body when I go into the gym. The fear of being rejected, the fear of caring so much what other people think, and then having your feelings hurt, right? So, how does this affect your behavior? Let's talk about this. The fear of judgment can cause you to be a people pleaser. Are you the person who bends over backwards to please everyone because you're afraid of being judged if you don't, and people might not like you? And then your feelings are hurt, right? So, this can cause you to be a people pleaser, which is incredibly draining. Not being able to say no when it's in your best interest to do so. How else does it affect you? How about lack of authenticity? Hear me on this one. If you're afraid of being rejected, afraid of being judged, and having your feelings hurt, it's pretty darn hard to be your true authentic self, isn't it? What if I am 100% my true authentic self and people don't like my true authentic self? Think about that. That's big. That's really big. It'll also cause you to be incredibly passive as a human being, right? The person who sits on the sidelines, doesn't want to rock the boat, passive in your life and in your business. This can also cause you to be walked all over. You keep your thoughts to yourself. You don't voice your opinion for fear of being judged, which causes people to think they can just walk all over you. Of course, not everyone, but you teach people how to treat you, right? Passive can also cause you to be passive aggressive. This is when you have that fear of being rejected, of being judged, and it can come out in certain times as total defense. So while you're passive, you're also aggressive all at the same time. So, what do you do about this? What do you do about the fear of rejection? Let's talk about this. I've got a few things for you to do to get over this fear forever. Here's the main thing you have to understand about the fear of rejection: it goes deep. Okay. So, the number one thing you have to do to get over the fear of rejection is get rid of your baggage. Because here's the thing: the reason you're not taking action in your business and in your life, that might we might look at this as the cause. My business isn't growing because I'm afraid to put myself out there. So that's the cause. Well, guess what? The fear of rejection isn't the cause of anything. The fear of rejection is the effect of what caused your fear of rejection. Do you feel me on that? It's the effect of something from your past. There's a reason you have that fear, and it comes from your past. That is your baggage. That is your story, your limiting beliefs. So that's where you have to go. You got to go into the past and get rid of the baggage to get rid of your fear of rejection. Okay? It's not hard to do. It really isn't. So other things you can do is improve your self-regulation skills. So what do I mean by self-regulation? That is when you are in better control over your own emotions, your responses, your thoughts. Your thoughts create your emotions and feelings, which create your behaviors, right? So being able to regulate, self-regulate your own emotions, because you will be triggered, right? Things happen and your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, which is the fight, flight, or freeze response. Sometimes your, the counter system really is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the state of calm. So if you spend too much time with the sympathetic nervous system in action, you're stressed out, man. You're constantly living in fight, flight, or freeze. Humans are not meant to live there. And whichever response you spend more time in, that becomes your baseline. And this is why people get really, really sick. One very big reason people get really, really sick, because they're living in fight, flight, or freeze. So self-regulation, knowing how to calm yourself so that you don't stay in a state of stress longer than necessary. That state is meant to keep you alive, right? Like if you're being chased by a lion, boom, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, your adrenaline kicks in, and you do what you need to do to survive. You need that system kicking in occasionally to keep you alive. When you're in danger, you're relying on that system to kick in. But if you live too often with that system kicked in, that becomes your baseline. So self-regulation is you knowing how to calm yourself down, knowing how to change your thoughts, your emotions and feelings, knowing how to get control of those. Okay, I'll do a whole call on that another day. So another one, face your fears. Do what's uncomfortable. Why? Because you do it and you live through it and you're like, I didn't die. And nobody told me I was a total loser for doing this thing. Right? You get used to doing the things that are uncomfortable. And then those things that were uncomfortable are just normal for you now. Like, let's use video for an example. You're scared to do video because you're going to be judged. That was my big thing. It took me months to start doing video because everyone was going to judge me. Then I was going to have to deal with my hurt feelings. So it took me a long time to start doing video, right? But once I pushed myself to start doing video, you get to a place where you've been doing the thing you were scared to do long enough where it no longer scares you. Doesn't bother me at all to do video now. In fact, I'm still shocked that I'm fine with doing video, because I was so scared of it that I really never thought I would do video. Now it's no big deal because I've done so much of it. So how do you get over your fear of doing things, of the thing that scares you? Do it. Do it anyway. Do lots of it until it no longer scares you. And you're like, I can't believe I was ever afraid to do that. I can't believe I actually thought everyone was going to be busy judging me if I did video. No one's judging you nearly as much as you think. What else can you do? Stop assuming the worst. Stop catastrophizing. This is where your mind goes to worst case scenario. Do you ever do that? Well, if I do this, this is going to happen. And your brain goes to worst case scenario. That's also that's your past talking, but it's also your ego wanting to keep you safe, right? So if your brain goes to worst case scenario, what if you stop and go, what if that's not what happens? What if this happens? Right? What if the desired outcome happens? Why am I always thinking the worst case scenario here? Start rewiring your thinking. Because truth is, we imagine the worst case scenario. Okay, if I do video, I'm going to get all these horrible comments of people criticizing whatever, 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 right? Okay, that's worst case scenario. You're not going to die, are you? Best case scenario is, I help somebody out today. I say something in my video that really helps someone out today. And they message me and they friend request me and they join my business. What's the best case scenario? Truth is, it's probably going to be somewhere in between. But if you can stop yourself from thinking the worst thing's going to happen, because how often does that happen? How often does the worst case scenario actually happen? Not very often, if at all. Another thing you can do is cultivate resilience. Become resilient, become tougher, grow a thicker skin by doing the things you're afraid to do. You will become much more resilient. Do you know anyone, let's just say on social media or what have you, who puts themselves out all the time that isn't resilient? Think about an actor when they go for auditions. How many auditions would they be signing up for if they were afraid of being rejected? Of course, they don't want to be rejected. But if being rejected was the end of the world, they would never get an acting job, would they? If you allow the fear of rejection to become so strong, you're going to end up sitting on your couch all day long and not doing anything, not living a life. How are you going to even pay for that couch? You're not going to have a couch because you didn't go out and make the money to buy the couch. Oh boy, we humans are funny creatures. The things we do to ourselves. So the last one I have for you, reframe your thinking. Right? Worst case scenario, reframe that. Reframe that. Reframe everything. Everything you think, reframe it, for heaven's sakes. Don't be a slave to your own ego, your own mind. That voice inside your head's telling you that, oh, this is going to happen. God, I did this my entire life up until I realized what I was doing to myself. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you are not doing certain things in your life, in your business, because of the fear of rejection, you have to figure out, go into your past where that started. The root cause of all your issues, right? What imprinted into your subconscious mind that you weren't enough as you are right now? Something in your life happened to cause you to believe that about yourself, and it's not true. You are plenty good enough. How do I know that? Because you're alive. You have inherent worth. Don't let the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, everyone's opinions of you rule your life, or you'll never have the life that you want. Start doing the things you're afraid of doing. Start doing something every day that makes you proud of yourself. Start doing the things that you're uncomfortable doing. Stop telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, because you are. You have inherent worth. Okay? So I hope that helps you out, because it's paralyzing. It is absolutely paralyzing. I should have gone over to the page and see if there are any questions for me. Do you guys have any questions? I struggle with that. The fear that I'm not enough. I'm realizing I am enough. Absolutely, Anthony. And here's the thing. I'm gonna venture a guess here that 99.99999% of the population feels this way. If you've had any kind of a life so far, if you've had parents, if you've had siblings, if you've had classmates, if you've ever had a boss, if you've ever had people in your life, right? Like this comes from our past. Something happens where we have this idea in our mind that we are not enough. And you carry this idea until you get rid of it, until you rewire your brain and think differently about yourself. The fact that you are alive means you are enough. Do you have to be this perfect human being, and cure cancer and you never make any mistakes or anything? Is that what it takes to actually be enough? Probably isn't one person on the planet that's enough. If that's the case, you are plenty. You're getting out of being passive and passive aggressive. That's great, Elizabeth. That's great. There's times in life where you have to stand up for yourself and be a little bit more, alpha, a little more, I wouldn't say domineering, dominant. There's some people who are so afraid of being judged that they're essentially like a wallflower, right? And they never stick up for themselves. Yeah, it's not a good place to be if you're living in fight, flight, or freeze mode. Oh my gosh. This is where, you suffer from anxiety, you have all these illnesses, everything from, you know, um, so many things come from stress, right? So many things. Yep, you are enough, Anthony. I know you're enough. I know you're enough, Elizabeth. Absolutely. You're paralyzed for about a year. Yeah. And the thing is, too, is when you start being a little more out there, putting yourself out there, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Being more alpha. Yeah. And you don't have to be like a complete 100% alpha. You really don't. There are times when you want to be more subordinate. I'm studying all this stuff right now, actually. But being able to move into the other areas, be a little more alpha when you need to be, being a little more beta when you need to be, right? It's being able to shift that is a superpower. I was such a people pleaser. My mom was totally that way and still is. I'm rewiring my brain and it's working. Beautiful, Dee Dee. I'm thrilled to hear that. Yeah, there are times when the case calls for it. Absolutely. And being a people pleaser, like most people have no idea why they were such a people pleaser. Something from your past made you feel that if you aren't doing everything for everyone and always saying yes and all of that kind of thing, that you were going to be chucked out of the tribe, right? That people weren't going to like you. They weren't going to approve. So now you're the people pleaser because you need for everyone to like you, right? You need their validation. You don't need nobody's validation. If they don't like you for who you are, then they have an issue. And here's the thing about if you've been a people pleaser, you've trained people in your life that you will always say yes. So it's hard to start saying no because they're like, what? And they may call you a, a bitch or something for suddenly saying no. You have to retrain them that you're not going to be this people pleaser anymore, that you no longer need their validation, that you're going to do what's right for you, right? They may be a little shocked because they're not used to you saying no. So does that mean you continue to say yes and have it make you, drive you crazy? Nope. Start saying no. The ability to shift and step up into alpha when needed. Yep, you don't need to be, you don't. Just step up when needed. So there's 3 states we humans have. You're more dominant, neutral, and subordinate. Being able to step into all three, like whichever one is needed at the moment. Okay, because there's deep reason why. Oh, I can't train on that. That's way advanced. But it's a way you can actually influence other people. So anyway, it's what you saw your mom do. Yeah. And even became the introvert in school for that reason. Yeah, not now. Glad to hear it. I mean, that's the thing. You saw your mom behave that way. So it rubbed off on you, right? You thought that's the way you should behave. So that can carry on, obviously, from generation to generation. Yeah, you get to put a stop to it. Just learn to say no to people. Learn to say, that's not going to work for me. I'm sorry, I do not have the time to do this. It's not going to work for me. I'm focused on whatever. Just because someone asks something of you doesn't mean you have to do it. Boundaries, boundaries. Yeah, we train people how to teach or how to treat us, right? It's whatever we accept is how we're going to be treated. So there you go, guys. I hope that helps. I hope that helps because it is debilitating. It'll stop you from building your business. It'll stop you from creating the life you want to be living. It'll stop you from becoming your true authentic self. So you might have to dig deep and get rid of that stuff. Anyway, there you go. I hope you got some great value today, and I hope you apply some of the things that you can do for yourself. And I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Love you guys.